Okay. We are going to tell you the story of how we met.
We figured this would be a good one to do our first video podcast of, because you have to see how ridiculous we are when we tag team telling the story of how we met and fell in love.
Okay, so we met on Hinge.
Shout out Hinge if you would like to sponsor our podcast. We will proudly throw into every second episode that we met on Hinge.
Yes, we will. So I ghosted her.
Okay, we got to go back a little further. I was a pastor. At the time, I was a children's pastor at a church in Denver, at a church plant, which I thought was going to be the church plant that like really understood God loves all people and love is love and God made us perfect and not wrong. However, it was an extremely homophobic church. And so I was sitting there every day like, holy cow, like I can't lie anymore that I like men. So at night, I would lay in bed with I would literally scroll like this. There was no one next to me. I was just so terrified someone was going to find out I changed my dating app to girls. The first girl I met, we won't go there. That's a story for a different time. But then I saw this chick in her profile picture on the dating app. She was wearing a shirt that said "Too cute for the closet" in rainbow, and she was like popping out of a closet. And I thought
Just
it was
like that.
so funny. And I was like, you are too cute for the closet. I shot myself in the freaking foot, you guys. Because her next question was,
are you in the closet? I was like, thanks. Are you in the closet? And so she's like,
whoa!
Kinda. My parents kinda know. My church community doesn't know. I'm like, and you're a pastor, and your church community doesn't know. This is worrisome. So we talked a little bit, and then she was also Miss Colorado a few years ago. So
USA National Miss Colorado.
I was kind of like, is she actually a lesbian? Because I just got the vibes. She's super pretty. I'm like, she's probably bi-curious. Like, I like men, I like women.
Not that lesbians can't be pretty, but
no, yeah. I mean, come on.
Come on.
Come on. Especially with the hat.
Yeah, the hat is important.
The hat is important. You'll find out why the hat is important. So I was like, I just don't know about this because she's all over the place. And I don't know that she's actually a lesbian. And yeah, so.
But we were texting for a week. And we were having really good conversations. And then we got into the deep conversations of have you been out? And she was like, I don't know that I really want to go through this whole process of someone finding their sexuality again.
Also, I had dated a few women whose families did not like me because I'm a woman. They didn't like that their daughter was gay. So they would talk about me in the third person. I'd be standing there and they'd be like, when is she leaving? So it was very awkward. And I'm like, I am not going through this again one more time with a family that does not like me because I'm a woman and whatever. So I was like, I'm going to keep dating around. Started briefly dating another girl, and I just stopped talking to her. I didn't even say well, this isn't going to work out. I just was like,
she just ghosted me.
I ghosted her.
But then I had a dream. Look at Martin Luther King Jr. And then I had a dream of us walking in country cowgirl boots through a field.
Which I grew up on a farm, and I'm a country girl, but she didn't know that because everything on my Hinge...
And I love my cowgirl boots.
Everything on my Hinge was gay pride, so she had no idea that I actually was a country girl at heart.
Yeah, so I texted her, and I DM'd her on the dating app, shout out Hinge, and was like, hey, actually, I have to give a shout out to my cousin, because I went to lunch with her, and I was like, I don't know, life's really good, except I met this girl, and I really, really like her, but she ghosted me. And I had a dream about her last night, though, and I really just want to shoot my shot and message her and be like, hey, I had a dream about you. Even if you don't want to date me, I think we should get coffee because I'd really like to get to know you more. And my cousin looked at me and was like, you're always crazy and brave. Why would you not do it on this one? She already ghosted you. The worst she does is just keep ghosting you. The best she does is take you up on going on a coffee date. So I text her and I'm like, hey, I had a dream about you and I'd really love to go get coffee. Would you be interested in just getting coffee with me?
And it didn't work out with the other girl I started dating briefly. I logged back onto the dating app, saw that she had messaged me, that she had a dream about me, and I was like, wow, persistence. Like, this is really good. Yeah, she's really proud. Boosts her ego about this one. Um yeah, so then what?
You were like, persistent. Okay, we can get coffee.
Yeah, so okay, so then she starts texting me the weirdest text. They're the wink face, but like not the emoji, but the colon
The
parentheses,
semicolon.
semicolon parentheses wink face, and it'd be like, "You're cute," wink, 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 like that weirdness. And I don't like the wink face at all because I just think it's super creepy. Always have thought it was creepy.
She's like, I've always thought it was reserved for pedophiles. So I was like, is this a guy coming to kidnap me?
I literally thought, this is a creepy man. This is not the woman who won Miss Colorado a few years ago. This is a creepy man. So I was pretty worried. I had a roommate at the time and was telling her that I think I'm talking to someone trying to catfish me. That's a creepy old man. So we decided to go on a date, but she's like, I'm going skydiving before our date. And so I said, if you're skydiving, you probably have a picture of you either skydiving or at the facility where you skydive, because who wouldn't take a picture of themselves while they're skydiving? So I was like, send me a picture of you at the skydiving facility. And then she did. And I was like, oh no, she's so pretty. I'm so nervous. And I was like, okay, I don't think it's a creepy old man. She's just kind of weird. And
Still checks out.
yeah, I was just really worried. So then
she's like panic texting me, changing the plan like 10 times. We're supposed to meet for lunch at 1. And then she's like, well, what I had this morning might not happen. It might change. And I was like, well, I'm at Drag Bingo with my best friend and her boyfriend directly across from where you say you live. I also was like, why the fuck does she live in? She lived in McGregor Square. If you're from Denver, you know it's like the bougiest place you can live in all of Denver, basically.
Shout out my roommate Sarah. You're awesome.
Yeah, we loved her.
Yeah, it was
we
really
missed you,
fun.
Sarah. But so she's like, oh, friends, safety in numbers. Okay, I should go meet her now. So she decides to come muster up the courage to come meet me and my best friend and her boyfriend at Drag Bingo.
I'm like having a panic attack on my way over. I'm like, she's so pretty. This makes me so nervous. And then also it was just a crazy environment. And I show up and she runs up to me and says,
I run up to her and I'm like, oh my gosh, I saw you walk in. And I was like, that girl's really cute. And then I was like, that girl's my date. And I think it's you. Are you my date?
And I was like, yeah, I'm your date. And she just starts dancing with the drag queens. Like, she's like dancing all around. And I'm like, my date is wasted. And it's 10 a.m. She's like wasted. Like, there's no way this girl's sober. Come to find out, she actually is just this crazy sober. This is just, we've been sober our entire relationship, and she from alcohol, and she's just like always like just having fun, having the time of her life.
The life of the party.
Oh my God.
And to this day, she's still like, I don't know if I can handle this chick.
So, okay, so when I first met her, I was like, there's no way this is gonna work out. She is beyond crazy. I love you, and I love your crazy now, but you really worried me on the first date. And then we like got some crepes, and I was just like, I'm gonna like.
We couldn't cut the crepe though. Like, the plastic knife wouldn't cut the crepe.
It was awful.
The whole table was like shaking. And we're at this place called Milk Market in downtown Denver. And if you've ever been there, you know it's chaos. There's like, I don't know what, 7 restaurants in this one place. And there's drag queens and drag bingo. And if you don't know this about Riley, she's deaf in one ear. So she was just so overwhelmed. And then there's this me energy. And I'm like, hey, hello, hi. And she was like, what the fuck is this chick? And so then finally I can tell she's super overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, let's get out of here and go get coffee. So we walk to Union Station. And I sit down and I'm like, well, I just want to lay all my cards out on the table.
Wait. First of all, I didn't think she could have a serious conversation. I was like, I'm interested if this girl could ever be serious because all she does is dance with drag queens. So
and jump out of airplanes at 6 a.m. in the morning.
So we sit down and she starts to reveal her whole life story. Like the details of some pretty bad traumas in her life. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is going on? Like, she went from dancing and craziness to like, oh, I'll tell you a serious story. And I'm like, these trauma stories, I'm like, I have a trauma history, but like, I thought mine was bad and like, it is bad. But I'm like, is this real? Like, can this girl have this kind of trauma? Like, this is just nuts.
And be this happy version of
and be
her.
this happy because I'm like, I've met a lot of people with trauma, they're not this happy. So I was a little confused. And then she's like, okay, so I'm a little embarrassed. I just told you my whole life story, so you can tell me yours now. And at that point, I was like, okay, game on. Like, I will tell you my trauma story. I'll tell you my whole story.
Yeah.
So we just sat there for more hours and just telling each other our deep stories. And she kept going, that checks a box.
No, I kept saying green flag.
Green flag. Like, as I'm telling my story, she's like, green flag. I'm like,
you know, like when someone's telling you something and you're in your brain, you're like, red flag. Like, this is not going to work out. I just kept being like, green flag on the play. And she was like, what in the world are you saying? I'm like, you know, like, you're not having any red flags for me. Like, you're just a big old green flag. Green flag.
Yeah. So then I'm like, I don't know why, but I was like, I felt like I wanted to invite her back to my place. And for me, it definitely wasn't about like hooking up or anything like that. It was about.
It was, because then when I told her I didn't want to kiss her later, she judged me for it.
No, it wasn't. I wanted to show her how bougie my place was and how amazing it was. And she wasn't unimpressed about it. But, anyways, she came back to my place and we sat on the bed and she was like, I want to be the next Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach. Oh, also, shout out to you two. If you want to have us on your podcast, we'd love to be on it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That would be so cool.
Literally the night we met, I was like, I want to be the next Glennon Doyle and I want to marry my Abby Wambach, where we just are madly in love and we change the world and we share our stories and people feel the courage to share theirs. And one day we're going to be friends with them.
Yeah, one day we'll be friends with them.
So if you know them, send this to them. Tell them to be our friend.
Yeah, so she's like that. And I was like, my last girlfriend,
and I want to be a mama 5.
My last girlfriend like told me at first she wanted kids, and then she like 6 months later was like, I actually don't want kids. And I was like, what? Like, this is like the everything I've wanted in life. And so I made sure to be like, I want kids. Do you want kids? And Kaylee's like, yeah, I want like over 5 kids. And I'm like, oh my God, I want a big family too. Like, we just want so many kids. So we were like so excited. We're talking. I'm like, wait, this is actually getting a lot better and stuff. And then she looks at me and she goes, I'm trying really hard not to kiss you. And I was like, okay, why are you trying hard not to kiss me? And because I just was like, that's kind of weird. And she's like, what'd you say?
She said, why are you trying not to kiss me? And I said, I just have this thing that I don't kiss on first dates. And she goes, I don't get it, but I guess I'll respect it. And then she gets up and she goes to the bathroom.
And I go like this, put on my backwards hat.
I was like, you can't do that. That's not fair.
So I like sit on the bed and I'm like confused. She's like, you can't do that to me. And I'm like, do what to you? I'm so confused. You've been confusing me this entire time. So I'm like, do what? And she's like, oh, it's so hot, that backwards hat. And I was like, oh, I don't mind doing that to you. And then she leaped on me like a cheetah. She pounced on me like a cheetah, and I hit my head on the backboard, but I didn't care. And we started making out, and I was happy.
And then the next day was my birthday, and I invited her to my birthday party with my best friend, and she came. And we have literally only spent days apart that were required by the jobs that employed us at the time.
Yeah, like for work trips or
Yeah, or like personal development, self-growth trips.
yeah.
And the rest is history. Like lesbians, we moved into it together like so fast.
Wait,
we
what did
got
I say to
married
Sarah?
so fast.
What did I say to Sarah?
Oh, after our first date, she was like, her roommate who she was living with after I left, she was like, well, that was long and she's real. How do you feel? Because she was like telling her roommate, like, I don't know if I'm about to go get catfished by this old man. Like, look at these creepy wink faces. And you are so hot. It's like distracting when you have your hat backwards. Some things never change. But and her roommate after I left goes, so how was it? And she was like, by far the weirdest date I've ever been on, but I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
I definitely want to see her again.
Yeah, I was like, I definitely want to see her again. So we'll see.
And I called my best friend and I was like, I'm marrying her.
Yeah, she just like knew right away, and I was like, I need to process this date because this was long and crazy.
It was like 9 hours.
Fun. It was everything. It was great. But I was like, I gotta process this because when I first met her, I was like, there's no way in hell I am dating this girl. And then by the end, I was like, oh, she's actually pretty great. It was funny.
Yeah. So now you know the story of how we met.